They're renowned business body language experts, co-authors of best-selling book Truth and Lies, and have a strong passion for helping people create the most impactful, influential, and persuasive communications in crucial business presentation situations. I'm delighted to welcome and have a conversation with Tracey Thomson and Mark Bowden, co-authors of Truth and Lies on Small Talk. I'm your host, Javed Khan. Tracey Thomson and Mark Bowden, welcome to Small Talk.
Hey there.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, Mark, it's great to have you back on Small Talk. Folks, Mark was on one of our shows many moons ago, it seems like. And Tracey, welcome to our Small Talk family.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This is fantastic.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Mark as well.
Folks, for those who do not know these two individuals, these are co-authors. They have written a book called Truth and Lies. There it is. Truth and Lies, a great book for you to take a look at. But they also have this video podcast that is going, and I call it a podcast, but it's like a video series, and it's called, what was it called again, Mark?
Body Language Mythbusters.
Body Language Mythbusters. And I love it because it's got some element of comedy in there, and then some element of amazing conversation amongst the two of you. And then obviously it's got some sort of actionable item or at least something you can think about. So folks, if you haven't taken a look at that, please go either on LinkedIn or any of the social channels and look that up. Either look up Mark or Tracy on LinkedIn and take a look at those. Now, you two are on our show today because we've got an interesting conversation that we want to have, and it's around specifically 3 myths of body language that we want to demystify. And you both have identified 3 that I'm sure folks who are watching this particular segment either think about or have experienced. So we want to demystify that. So I'll pass it to you. Can you help us with that?
Well, let's start with one that, people have all the time, which is this one here.
Yeah, if they cross their arms, they're closed to me. They're closed off. If I'm in negotiation, if I see someone cross their arms, it isn't going to happen. It depends on the context, of course, but this generally means they're not having any of it. They're closed.
Yeah, but how true can that possibly be? Because if you think about it, there are so many reasons why people cross their arms. Sometimes it's
I'm cold, or I'm thinking, or it's the middle of the day and I'm a bit hungry and tired, and I'm really trying to focus on what someone's saying to me in a meeting, or just trying to, this definitely cuts out other stimulus. So it is closing off from other stimulus, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the person is closed off from what you were saying, from you or your message. It might just be, might be trying to cut the cold out or cut the tired out.
Right,
or,
it's a barrier gesture. It's a barrier gesture, but we never know what it's a barrier to without bringing in the wider context of what may be going on. What's the temperature? Is somebody trying to make a decision? I mean, not only is it a barrier gesture, but when we move our body and we bring it closer to a central line, we bring the two sides of our mind together. So sometimes it's how we make up our mind is to cross our arms. So if you're in sales, for example, and you think, I just said, what's your thoughts on this product or service? And they cross their arms, they're not going to buy. Actually, they may well be about to buy. So you don't want to stop them at this point.
Yeah,
so
they might just be trying to figure out the feasibility of it and just really thinking hard, concentrating. So to your point, it depends on the context. It depends on who you're talking to. But I think what's interesting is if you look at the internet, it tells you just don't do this in most situations because it looks like you're closed off. And that might or might not be true.
Yeah, that may well be true. That may well be true, that most people are going to judge you as being closed, whether you are or not. So that can be a bit of a problem. So there's a good myth buster for you on that one alone. What comes up in your mind, Javed, for body language things that you kind of think, that must be true, that must be a fact? What comes up in your mind?
I also hear about people, they're roving, their eyes are roving when they're speaking. Does that mean they're nervous, or that means that they really aren't interested in the person in front of them.
Ah, interesting. So people often think, yeah, if they haven't got eye contact with me, they can't be listening. And often, if they haven't got eye contact with me, they must be lying to me as well. So when eye contact isn't very, very clear, when the eyes are moving about, we often find it shifty, and we therefore default to negatives. But let's think of some of the reasons why people don't get eye contact with us.
Well, you could be thinking about something, you know, I think there's also another myth about whether you're looking up into the left or up into the right, one's memory and one's lying, but there's actually no conclusive evidence around that. There's a lot of, you know, various tests around it, but there's no conclusive evidence that makes a direct correlation, a true correlation between that. I think that yeah, people they're eye accessing, they're thinking about something, they're remembering something, you might have triggered off something that sent them down memory lane in some way as well, that is actually getting something interesting that they're thinking about and getting them stimulated about some subject, which might take the focus away from you directly and take them down like, oh yeah, that reminds me of that deal I was talking about last week.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that, you know, but they're going through that. So it doesn't necessarily mean they're not interested or they're nervous, but in other situations, it could mean they're anxious. Sure. It could
you need to look out for other signals.
It depends on the context entirely.
Listen, and here's what you need to know about lying as well and deceit is that really good deceivers, really good liars will keep really good eye contact with you because they know that you're looking out for that. And all of us are good liars. Lying is one of our most important social skills, as well as telling the truth. We just need to know when to do one and when to do the other. We're all good liars. I mean, you wouldn't be able to have undercover cops if they weren't good liars.
Right.
There's all kinds of stuff we wouldn't be able to do in life unless we were good liars. So all of us can lie well. And we're good enough to be able to keep control over our eyes when we really want to lie to somebody. So, you know, that shifty eye contact could mean nervousness, could mean deceit, could mean a number of other things. Again, you need to look at the full cluster of signals.
But interestingly, once again, it can make you feel that way. It doesn't necessarily mean that, but it can make you feel that way, which I think there's a distinction that needs to be made with those two things. So yes, if you're going into a job interview, for example, you might not want to appear like your eyes are going back and forth like that. Some people do it naturally when they're trying to scan the room though. I've seen people they've been told, make sure you look around at everybody in the room. And so it can look, just an act of trying to do what they've been told is right can end up looking wrong.
Here's something interesting. Just to make sure our eye contact keeps as much with you as possible, we put this little post-it note over the top of where the camera is.
Oh, nice. Very good. Mark, that's a very good resemblance of me. I love it. It looks just like me. It's perfect.
It is. So
Perfect.
Just like that, you seem to have two eyes, a nose, and a mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
It's uncanny, the likeness.
So now we've got two. What's the third one? What's that third myth that you can share with our audience that people perhaps think about that needs to be a little demystified when it comes to body language?
No, you go.
Okay, well, how about, to so many of them, how about when people's pupils are dilated, it means they're attracted to you? Because that's one, you know, maybe a little more out of the professional world into that kind of dating and love life world. Of if you see their eyes suddenly get wider, it means, oh, they really fancy you. They're excited by you. And it's true that when we are attracted to something, then the pupils do dilate, get bigger in order to let in more of that information. Now, having said that, there's all kinds of things in life that dilate our pupils anyway.
Oh, yeah. I mean, eye drops, certain medications can make your pupils dilate. Coffee can make your pupils dilate. Stimulants, it depends. You know, I think I had a cup of coffee recently. The light, just if it's dim in the room, your pupils will open up to let more light in. So if you're in a slightly darkened room and looking at somebody and your pupils are dilated, it could just be because it's not that bright in the room. You know, there's lots of different reasons why your pupils could dilate. Yeah. So it's not a telltale 100% sign that if their pupils are dilated, they're really into me. But on the other hand, it could be. And it's something we don't have any control over either. They just do that. We can't make them, you know, our pupils dilate or get small.
Yes, we can't control our mind in any way in order to control those tiny little muscles.
But we can make them look bigger by putting eyeliner on. You know, that makes your pupils look bigger if you put makeup on, or if you, as I say, you do the eye drops.
Some people have very dark limbal rings in their eyes. That's the edge of the colored part of the eye. There's a darker area, and the darker that is, and often bigger it is, the bigger the pupils will look, a bit like a target. So there are all kinds of optical illusions that the eyes are playing a lot of the time to create that idea of attraction.
Amazing conversation here, folks. We've got Tracey Thomson, Mark Bowden, co-authors of Truth and Lies. They've been here on Small Talk. Please, the whole idea of this conversation is to continue it with Mark and Tracey. So please connect in with them when you get a moment. Follow them on the various social channels. As I mentioned at the top of the show, watch those video segments they're doing. Amazing stuff. A little tinge of comedy, a little tinge of education and engagement. I love it. Tracey and Mark, thank you so much for your time and for coming here on Small Talk.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Javed. Thanks so much.
Thank you to Tracey Thomson and Mark Bowden for joining me on Small Talk. You can also listen to the show as part of our podcast series. Now it's your turn. Please comment, subscribe, and share. If you've got a topic you'd like to discuss on the show, please give me a call or send me an email. We'll talk with you next time.
Yeah.